Welcome back to Brands and Empires, where I share my past experience and present journey in the custom apparel industry. Today's video is going to help you a lot if you need a mentor to help guide you, but don't have anybody in your personal network that you can turn to. I had heard about this program in the past, but I just took the time to dig into it, and now that I fully understand it, I'm jumping in headfirst and taking full advantage of the resources that they're offering. Seriously. If you were paying for all of this out of pocket, it would add up to thousands and thousands of dollars very quickly. But all of the information and resources I'm going to share with you today are paid for by the federal government, by grants, and by nonprofits, so you don't have to pay a dime. And what's more is it took me all of 10 minutes to apply for this. So stick around, because I'm going to share with you how I found these programs, what these programs are, and we're going to go over where I'm at in my personal journey, and hopefully you'll learn something along the way. You know, the last few months have been eye-opening. I really didn't think that my personal experiences would be all that valuable until so many of you guys reached out and let me know. When I first started the channel, I didn't know how much that I would have to share, but I knew that I'd have a lot to learn. And over the last couple of weeks, I've been increasingly focused on how I'm going to grow and scale the business. And I think that putting videos out there that help new shop owners try to get to my level has really made me more aware that I need a mentor that can help me get to the next level as well. One of the big things is business is not like a video game where you just keep advancing and you keep growing and you never take a step backwards. And this is where I'm so thankful that I made this YouTube channel to be an honest look into the journey that I'm taking through my business. Because if I had have started creating videos that were just blowing smoke and I pretended like all of my greatest achievements were what my day-to-day mundane business operations look like, I'd be totally hung right now. Instead, I feel comfortable sharing with you that I'm going out, I'm looking for advice, and I'm seeking counsel, and I can take you along with me in this process. Because I don't feel like anybody really benefits from a channel that's bragging, especially when they're bragging from a place that they don't really have experience. That doesn't help you, that doesn't help me. So anyways, you're probably wondering what this incredible resource is that I'm gonna tell you about. Well, a little bit of backstory. I found out about this resource from a YouTube video where Meet Kevin, the real estate broker, was reacting to a Discovery Channel TV show called Undercover Billionaire. I mean, if you want to talk about taking a circuitous route, this was totally it. Anyways, in the TV show, Glenn Stearns, the undercover billionaire, was receiving free consulting from this panel of experts who were willing to do market analysis and all of these different spreadsheets on his behalf completely free. According to the show, this is something that's available to all small business owners that just apply for it. When I saw how extensive the resources were that they were bringing to bear, I thought for sure that it had to be staged because, I mean, it looked like it was thousands of dollars worth of free consulting and they were doing it without reserve. So with a healthy bit of skepticism, I looked up that program for myself. And over the last 2 weeks, I went all in. It's called America's SBDC, and SBDC stands for Small Business Development Centers. This is a federally funded program paid for by the US Congress and the SBA, or Small Business Administration. They offer free face-to-face consulting and at-cost training seminars. I looked it up and it was like $15 for some of these courses, and you're talking 3-hour courses that include paperwork and questionnaires, and you're dealing with experts in the field, not just some schmuck that wants to come in there and upsell you on their pipeline. So if you're like me, I didn't grow up in an entrepreneurial family. I didn't have a consistent mentor over the years that was able to help me and guide me through all of the pitfalls that I would eventually run into. Most of my success came from running headfirst into an unpredictable situation and then trying to survive through picking up the pieces when everything fell apart around me. I mean, I've had no idea where to look for guidance except for the internet and for whatever books that I could come across. And books and audiobooks are fantastic, but there's just something about tailored advice that you get from a one-on-one conversation that is so much more effective than reading generalized advice from a guru in a book, even when that advice isn't necessarily perfect, because I feel like it's something that I can act on, and it's an ongoing conversation where if I try it and it doesn't work, I can get feedback from someone who will tell me, well, you know what, it might not have worked because XYZ, and we can make adjustments and try something else. Whereas in a book, if I don't properly interpret what the guru is trying to tell me, I might just fail and not know where I went wrong or how to adjust and pick up the pieces. I'm sure that's why people pay for coaching, but I've never been in a situation where I felt compelled to turn over a bunch of money to any specific coach. So anyways, I scheduled a meeting with the SBDC in my area and had my first meeting Thursday, just like 2 days ago. I spent an hour and a half with the consultant that they assigned me, and now this guy knows almost more about me than anybody in business does. From that first meeting alone, we scheduled 4 additional meetings. We're gonna do a website analysis where they take a look at all of the metadata and the performance that I'm doing, the click-through rates, the customer retention or the viewer retention, etc. Then we're gonna dig into a social media analysis and decide whether or not I should connect my YouTube channel to my existing business and how I can cross-promote that. Then we're gonna do a financial deep dive into all the books and accounting to make sure that I'm not bleeding somewhere that I could shore up pretty easily. And then the last thing that we're gonna do is a marketing analysis, where we take a look at my pay-per-click campaigns and the performance of them over the years and see maybe if we can repeat some of the past successes that I've had and learn from some of the failures. So essentially I had a discovery phase meeting that's gonna be followed by 4 more targeted discovery meetings. From there, we're gonna have a strategy and planning meeting and then an implementation meeting. So I have 4 meetings followed by 4 meetings followed by 4 meetings, and then we're just gonna play it by ear from there. Beyond that, I'm also gonna be digging into some relevant seminars where I see some material about target markets that I want to get into and industry aspects that I'm not really familiar with, and we're going to start exploring that. Then, completely independent of the SBDC, I found another nonprofit program called SCORE. And in SCORE, when you're first signing up, they ask you a number of questions where you tell them what you're hoping to get out of a partnership with your mentor. And then from there, they've got a list of like 1,000 mentors all over the country that they're willing to pair you with. Some of them are local, some of them aren't. And you have to check off a box whether or not you're willing to communicate them via email, over the phone, over Skype, or if you'd just rather drive somewhere and sit across the table from them to talk. I'll be honest, I was hopefully skeptical about how qualified the mentor would be to help me achieve my goals. So when I got an email from the prospective mentor, I went ahead and Googled his name to see if he popped up in LinkedIn. Because in my mind, somebody who's trying to teach me how to get to the next level in business probably is established on LinkedIn and should at least have a decent corporate profile. Maybe I shouldn't have Googled this guy's name, because when I looked him up, I found out that he is a freshly retired senior managing partner from a multinational Fortune 500 company. So maybe my goals were a little bold, because I definitely came in guns blazing with a big list of wants. And they fired back with the mentor equivalent of, oh yeah, well try this on for size, tough guy. So needless to say, my palms have been clammy for the past 4 days. And the meeting isn't even until Tuesday. I am extremely nervous to meet this guy. I mean, in all honesty, I might have been better off not Googling this guy, because now I have to get over my own nervousness sitting here in a meeting with a guy who is genuinely a titan of industry, somebody who's dealing with problems an order of magnitude more complex than I've ever had to deal with. And hopefully he doesn't see me as some kind of useless hack that just isn't gonna cut it at the next phase of business that I'm trying to get to. So anyways, stepping back to the SBDC meeting, I already received some really useful nuggets just on day 1. I was kind of shocked because they're even gonna try to connect me with customers and clients that are in my target demographic that may be in my local area. But you know, at the end of the meeting, I asked the consultant, I said, what do other business owners who have gone through this program typically see as results? And he told me that businesses that see them as a strategic partner and really lean on them to support them and help them make decisions, and who are willing to change and adapt, as opposed to being set in their ways. Of the business owners that fulfill that criteria, most of them see a moderate to significant jump in sales and production over the following year. So I plan on following their script completely and seeing what happens for me over the course of the next year. And I'll take you guys along with me in that journey, and I'll keep you updated along the way. I know this is way off center for my normal DTG and screen printing business videos, which is kind of why I decided to film while walking around. I have no idea until I get back to my computer whether or not the video is way too shaky or the backdrop is way too bright. So I'm hoping a lot of this pans out and that I won't have to reshoot it back in the studio. You know, I think the key is once you get unconsciously competent with production and the logistics and the sales cycle and the creative aspects of the business, you end up losing that childlike wonderment, and you forget how cool our industry really is. And that's probably why I'm not out there live streaming myself blasting through hundreds of shirts, because I've done that for 10 years. Now my focus off camera is more on growing and scaling the business so that it can lead to my financial freedom and a source of security for my family and children. So if you're still with me on here, thank you so much for investing your valuable time to come with me. And I sincerely hope that you're able to gather a couple nuggets along the way that help you in achieving financial freedom for you and your family as well. By the way, it took us about a month and a half from the beginning of September until now for us to get enough subscribers. This is after the algorithm noticed that we existed, because for the last 2 days of July all the way through August, we had no views whatsoever. But anyways, it took from the beginning of September until about now for us to get enough subscribers and watch time to qualify for monetization. And from there, I had already filled out the paperwork and applied, and we just got approved within 24 hours. So that's super exciting. I think part of that has to do with the fact that we've had a Google AdSense account for the business for something like 5 years. So we had already been like on the nice list, and we hadn't made any mistakes or had any copyright violations along the way. So they must have expedited the process for us. But I thought you might find that interesting. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.